If you're looking to buy a house in Chicago area and you're primarily focusing on your purchase price based on your budget or the loan approval amount, you might be for a real expensive surprise if you're not considering the property taxes. Chicago property taxes are real and could be substantial, and at the same time, it could be a deal breaker. Um, the way the property taxes are calculated is really very confusing, and it can be very difficult for the buyers to understand what that means to them. So today I'm going to break down how the system works, what are the exemption criteria you might be eligible for. At the same time, if you are a VA buyer, you might be eligible for some additional savings. Hi, my name is Ashwin. I'm a real estate agent and Army veteran in Chicago area. I primarily work with military clients, first-time home buyers, as well as 2 to 4 unit investor clients as well, using VA loan. And most of the time, I see my buyers catch off guard, not the interest rate, not the closing cost, but the property taxes, which can be substantially high and complicated process. Let's jump into it. So before we jump in how the property taxes or the systems work, let's understand and acknowledge that the Chicago property taxes are high. They are approximately at like close to 2% of the home market value. So to give you an idea, if the house at the medium house price in Chicago is, let's say, $300,000, so you're looking approximately at $6,000 per year tax at 2%, which if you spread across 12 months prorated is like $500 every month, in addition to your mortgage payment, which consists of your principal and the interest rate. Um, and here's something most of the buyers don't realize, that the portion of that property taxes just don't go to the one area. It gets spread across Cook County, City of Chicago, parks, districts, library, water reclamation, and more. Additionally, Illinois has no cap on the annual assessment for the homeowners, and in the recent years, we have seen a substantial jump compared to the last like 30 years. So this is the reason why most of the Cook County homeowners are feeling the burden. One of the reason is actually like the due to the commercial, the downtown, like the commercial property vacancy in the downtown or the Loop area in Chicago, that has reduced the commercial property value, thereby putting the tax burden on the residential homeowners in the Cook County, including the Chicago area. So based on different sources, the numbers are around about $129 million of a gap, or which is basically less received by the Illinois state, and that burden is being put on the residential homeowners. The idea is not to scare you if you're looking to buy or sell your property, but to kind of educate you so you can strategize accordingly. And as I said before, if you're a veteran, you have some additional strategies to apply for further saving. So how are your bills actually calculated? This is where it gets really complicated and confusing. So let me walk you through step by step. So first of all, the Cook County does not assess based on your full market value. Keep in mind the market value is calculated by the Cook County's assessor office. They are the ones who will come up with your market value of your property. Again, that's not the price you purchased for, or even if you're buying it this year or in the past, that's a different value. What the assessor is doing is they're trying to check what's your current market value, like a fair market value as of today. Once you have that amount, they take the 10% of that as the assessed value, which then is multiplied by something known as state equalization factor or multiplier, which kind of gives you what we call it as a EAV, or it's called equalized assessed value. Um, and then that EAV is multiplied by a tax rate, which varies from different regions, different areas, I mean, and that gives you an estimated tax bill. So, to give you an example with numbers, so let's say currently your house fair market value is $400,000. So the 10% of that would be a 40K assessed value. And let's say you take that 40K assessed value, multiply by the state equalization factor or multiplier, which say it's at 3.0335, which gives you an approximate 121,420 EAV, or the equalized assessed value, uh, minus any exemptions you might be eligible for. I will dig deeper in the exemption piece in the later sections, multiplied by the tax rate, which can vary, and then the final number would be your tax bill for the year. So effectively, you're looking at around about 1.8 to 2% of your tax bill. So on a $400,000, you're roughly looking anywhere from $7,200 to $8,000 in property taxes for the year. Um, so let's talk about the exemption. The one of the most common exemption is the homeowner exemption. So if you're a homeowner, you're living in the same house, you better be applying for the homeowner exemption. Uh, the, the homeowner exemption allows you to reduce your EAV value, that is, which we discussed in the previous section, equalized assessed value, by around about $10,000, which converts into a saving of roughly anywhere from 250 to 2,000 per year, depending again on your assessment increased, and the local tax rate. The good thing is that the exemption auto renews every year as long as you're living in that property. One thing to keep in mind as a new buyer, the homeowner exemption doesn't move with you. So what I mean by that is, if you're moving to a new property, you need to apply for the homeowner exemption. At the same time, if you're moving out of the property, you lose the homeowner exemption. So, and if you're moving to a new property, then you again apply for the new property to be eligible for the homeowner exemption. The and you can actually go to the Cook County Assessor website and put an application. So for like the 2025 application for the exemption, the deadline was, I believe, like by May 15, 2026. So every year it kind of opens up at the beginning of the year, and you can keep a check on the website for the latest details. I'll also put the website information in the description, so you can check the latest details. The bottom line is that if you own a house, you are a homeowner, you got to have a homeowner exemption, period. If you're a military veteran, now would be a good time to kind of pay attention and listen carefully. We do have a veteran exemption. So first veteran exemption is a returning veteran exemption, which means that if you're coming back from the active duty, you might be eligible for like a $5,000 reduction in your EAV, or the equalized assessed value, for the tax year. This does not renew annually, so you'll have to file manually every year. So let's say if you just came back from the deployment and you didn't know that you had to file for the exemption, you can actually call the assessor office and request, and they might be help you to apply the exemption even for several years going back in the past as well. So definitely check that piece out. The next exemption, which is a big one, is the Veterans with Disability exemption. So this one is like a sliding scale. So let's say you have so before that, so when you get out of the military, you get something known as a disability rating. It can vary anywhere from 0 to 100%. So make sure, if you are in the process of exiting out, this would be a good time to check it about your disability rating. So let's say you got a disability rating up to like less than under 50%, you might be eligible for 2500 reduction in your EAV value for the tax year. If you have anywhere from 50 to say 69%, you might be eligible for $5,000 reduction in your EAV value for the tax year. However, if you have anywhere from 70 to 100%, you are 100% exempted from the property taxes, which means you pay zero property taxes. I have worked with many military clients with the disability 100% disability rating, where we were able to increase our purchase price budget just because we did not have the property taxes element, and still kind of pay the same monthly payments, but and still able to buy a higher purchase price. So definitely this is a big tool if you do have a disability rating. Make sure if you are in the process of buying in today or in the future, make sure you talk to your lender, talk to your agent about these exemption. And if you have 100% disability rating or a surviving spouse, they still would be eligible for this exemption for their primary home. So if in doubt, the best thing is and if you're living in Chicago area or the Cook County, just call the Cook County Assessor Office, and I'm sure they'll be able to guide you, or they will have some information on their website for in terms of the application, so you can apply that as well. So definitely don't miss out this exemption. Thing. Then the other types of the exemptions are senior citizen exemption. So if you are over 65 or older, this adds additional 8,000 of in the EAV or the equalized assessed value, in addition to your homeowner exemption, and this one auto renews. The next one is like the senior freeze. So let's say if your household income is under $65,000, and I believe this is for 2025. This locks your EAV at the base value, meaning it won't, the property value will not keep increasing, meaning the taxes will not increase year by year. So this is a great saving in the rising market, especially for the senior citizens. Um, the next one is like the home improvement exemption. So let's say you bought a house and you're renewing it, or it's like a fix and flip project. And if you have added like an improvement, say up to like $75,000, you might be exempted from the property tax increase for the next 4 years. So this is a good kind of strategy, either if you're doing a fix and flip or you're just making a ton of improvements in your current property. And like the fourth one is like the long time occupant exemption. So if you have lived in your property for more than 10 years and your income is under $100,000, this provides like a larger reduction in the in terms of the exemption. The bottom line is, whatever the case might be, make sure you do check to see what type of exemption you might be eligible for. And most of these exemptions are auto renewed. So every year it'll auto renew, except the one with the returning veteran and the senior freeze, where you have to file annually. So the next question is like how to appeal your assessment. Appealing your assessment is something most of the Chicago homeowners don't do it, but technically you should be doing it. So the process is pretty straightforward and simple. So the first thing is like the Cook County Assessor Office formally reassesses each town every 3 years. So the last time Chicago was done in 2024, the northern suburbs were done in 2025, and the southern and the western suburbs will be done in 2026, meaning this year. But you can appeal every year. It doesn't matter when the town or the neighborhood was assessed last time. So you have two ways to appeal. One is like through the Cook County Assessor website, like the office during the assessment window, and then after that, if you miss that, after that it's through the Cook County Board of Review, which opens a separate window. Uh, what you're basically arguing is, or you're trying to appeal, is that your assessed value does not reflect the actual market value of your home. And the evidence you need to bring is like the comparable properties which have sold for in the nearby area for less than what your assessment implies. You don't need any lawyer or any like a legal documentation, uh, as long as you can provide those comparables, and it doesn't take much time doing it on their website. So bottom line is, if your tax bills have jumped significantly and your home value has not, then it's basically a good idea to appeal, and you have kind of two shots or two opportunities every year. So, what does it mean to you if you're trying to buy a house in the Cook County or the Chicago area? The one thing to keep in mind is the property taxes in Chicago are not fixed. There are two variables. One is the property taxes and the home insurance. Both can change. But for this video, we are trying to focus on the property taxes. So when you're looking to buy a house, you're not just calculating your monthly budget based on the principal and the interest, but also based on the property taxes. Your lender and your agent can actually help you to pull the current tax bill, so you actually know what your property taxes will be. At the same time, make sure your agent is actually checking if the current property you're planning to put an offer, if it has any exemptions or not, especially if it comes to like a disability rating, like a military or the veteran exemption, or like a senior freeze exemption. Those exemptions will go away, and you if you're not eligible for those exemptions, then you will be actually paying the full like the property taxes based on the assessed value. So the whole idea, the bottom line is that in to be prepared when you're looking to buy a property, and way before you're trying to put an offer. Otherwise, it could be a really a shocking and a surprise experience. Market reality check. So this is the section where I share like the using the live examples and what's kind of happening in the market uh, for you as either a buyer or seller. So in the previous sections I went through the property taxes, primarily focusing on the Cook County and the Chicago area. And I understand like the Chicago taxes are high. However, the one thing I would let you know is that, especially as a buyer, when you're shopping around, I've worked with some military clients who were looking in suburbs close to Chicago, and again, they had their own reason, either because of the work location or a family obligation or schools and so on. And there are some suburbs like in the south side or the west side, which are where the home prices are much less than what you might get in Chicago. However, the property taxes are almost the double. So just to use an example and for easy calculation and number and kind of comparison, let's say in Chicago you have a property with the market values at $400,000, and we are using an effective tax rate of, let's say, 2%, which is 8,000 in property taxes for the year, like annually. Whereas places like, and again, I'm using this as just an example, like Country Club Hills or Blue Island, where the property tax rates, the effective rate is roughly 4%. So let's say you're buying there at $200,000 similar house, your property taxes are still at $8,000 per year, even if your purchase price is at 200. So that substantially pushes your monthly payment big, like a huge jump actually. So which could be pretty shocking and a deal breaker. So an easy exercise or a way to figure out this way in advance is if you're using websites like Redfin, Zillow, and if you kind of scroll down on a specific property, they have something known as like the sales history, like what are the last transactions have happened with this property, but also they have a section called tax history, which will kind of give you an idea of what the tax rate was, or the annual tax amount was for that property and for which year. At the same time, but again, if you're already working with an agent, they can find out those information in split second. Also, if you are also check for the exemptions, which are in the details section of the property. But again, if you have an agent, it's much easier for the agent to find out all these information and share with you. um, again, if you have any questions regarding property taxes in general, or if you need help with any specific property, feel free to reach out to me. I'll put a link in the description for booking a call. No pressure, no pitch. Just want to kind of share the information and help you be more prepared and better understand how to navigate the market. Thanks.